I think we can both speak to that. We were talking just generally last night about, you feel inclined to want to do these small movies, and then you realize nowadays that just nobody.
Yeah, it's different. When I was in my 20s, before I had children and I was doing lots of movies, the movies that were being made would never get made today. Talented Mr. Ripley, Shakespeare in Love, Sliding Doors, even Shallow Hal, which was like a mid kind of budget comedy. They just don't do that anymore. Great Expectations, movies that are sort of geared towards adults, that aren't exploding, and people just don't flock to go see those movies anymore for whatever reason, or more importantly, I think the studios don't think they will. So that whole market has evaporated. So now you do a movie that has a $5 million budget or like a $5 trillion budget. There seems to be no middle ground anymore. So I think that's why it's nice, especially if you're someone like me and wants to be home and only do one movie a year and raise your kids. It's really nice to, be a part of a franchise like this where you can, go pop in, work, have fun. And even though what Robert was saying, like, we do know this is pop, but at the same time, when you're working with high caliber people like Robert and Don Cheadle, it's like the rush of working with actors like that is the same as if we're on, an off-Broadway play. So it doesn't matter really that it's a big pop culture movie, because you're not doing it with like some 26-year-old shirtless guy who doesn't really have a lot to say. It's like you're doing it with Robert Downey Jr. So it is artistically fulfilling. I mean, I think that's the way we've sort of, by the way, him without a shirt is awesome. Don't get me wrong.
22 years ago.
No, right now. And he is the
fine.
best butt in the world. I
Thank you.
recommend you touching it on the way out.
Great idea.
But so I think that's how we've managed to, maintain the artistry really, even in something this giant and crazy, because, they're really good actors in it. Rebecca Hall is really great. I mean,
She's great.
Ben Kingsley, like we have an amazing group of people to play with.
Yeah, and it's funny too, the industry is, we're talking about a post-change industry that's in the midst of changing again. You know what I mean? I think we're all only ever catching up with how things are established now based on what happened 5 or 7 or 10 years ago. So, but there's an influx of new stuff. I mean, there's great films coming out of Europe. There's great films coming out of the East. And I think that, there was some indication that a different caliber of movie making was coming back into vogue just last year in North America. So, it's life.
I'm so not annoyed. He's my favorite person to work with. I love him so much as a person and as an actor, and
Okay.
he doesn't feel the same way about
It's
me.
crazy. I mean, we're also we're pretty entwined and we hang out. Some people they're only close when they're in front of cameras or when they're talking about how close they are, even though they never hang out together. We make a point of
Yeah,
spending
we're together
time.
a lot. I'm very close with his wife.
Yep.
I worship his child. My children worship him.
Thank you.
It was very fun, actually, too, because my children have loved him since before they had any idea who he was. So it was really fun when my son realized what was happening. And so I think he loves me even more now, if that's possible.
Thank you.
I think, Pepper has to maintain a little bit of grit when it comes to Tony. I think I have a very close friend who is married to Rob Lowe, and it's a little bit of the similar thing. It's like she'll refer to his past, or and it's it's a very specific kind of yeah, well, I'm sure you knew Rob in the 80s. It's kind of that thing. I think when you when Pepper's with a guy like Tony who's done everything and everyone, and she has to keep some humor about it. But again, with my friends Rob and Cheryl, what they have is such a strong, amazing connection. They're really soulmates, and I think that's what Pepper and Tony are, that despite everything, they really belong together. But I think it's, her defense and her sense of humor.